You never really know when your life is about to change forever. It could be a Monday morning with coffee spilled on your shirt, or a rainy night when your umbrella flips inside out. Or, in Layla's case, it was a sunny afternoon at the airport pickup counter, the day she stood in for her cousin and picked up the wrong man. If you're watching this now, stay with us until the very end, because this story isn't just about mistaken identity. It's about love, loss, laughter, and how sometimes the biggest mistakes lead to the most beautiful things. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that touch your heart. Layla didn't want to be at the airport that day. She had just finished her half-day shift at the bookstore and was planning to curl up at home with instant noodles and a worn-out romance novel. But her cousin Farah, who worked at the Elite Transit luxury pickup service, had called in a panic. He's some CEO or director or something super important, Farah had said. Just smile, hold the sign, and get him into the car. Please, Layla. I'll owe you 10 coffees. 10 coffees were tempting. More than that, Layla owed Farah for all those late-night therapy chats and shared secrets. So she agreed, not knowing she was about to start the most unexpected ride of her life. Dressed in a crisp white blouse and slacks, her curly hair tamed into a neat bun, Layla stood at the arrival gate with a sign that read, Mr. Rami S. Kadir, VIP Executive Pickup. Her eyes scanned the crowd nervously. People bustled by with their luggage, some eager to meet family, others dragging themselves through jet lag. She almost missed him. He was tall, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, sunglasses on despite the indoor lighting, a sleek leather duffel in hand. He looked like he belonged on the cover of Forbes, not walking into her chaotic little world. He walked straight up to her, glanced at the sign, then at her face. You must be from Elite Transit. She nodded quickly, suddenly forgetting how to speak. Yes, Mr. Kadir. Welcome. Let me take that for you. To her surprise, he smiled. Call me Zain. I hate formality. Zain. She hesitated for a moment but led him out to the reserved vehicle, Farah's favorite Lexus SUV. They drove in silence for the first few minutes. He was scrolling through his phone, expression unreadable. She chanced a glance at him. He was strikingly handsome, with a sharp jawline and a quiet intensity. But there was something heavy in his gaze too, like he was carrying more than just his luggage. You're not what I expected, he said suddenly, eyes still on his screen. Oh, is that bad? No, it's just refreshing. You're not overly chatty or fake smiling. Most people are. She blinked. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm filling in for someone. Zain looked at her properly then. Is that so? She nodded, gripping the wheel. I work at a bookstore. Romance section mostly. He chuckled softly. That explains the hesitation when you looked at me. Excuse me. You looked like you were trying to figure out whether I'm the brooding billionaire hero or the villain who breaks hearts. She laughed, the tension in her shoulders easing. Plot twist, maybe you're both. They talked for the rest of the drive, about books, airports, random trivia. She told him about her obsession with handwritten letters and vintage typewriters. He told her he hated social media but had a secret TikTok account where he rated espresso shots. By the time they reached his destination, a penthouse at the top of the Rivera Tower, Layla felt like she'd known him for more than just an hour. He turned to her before stepping out. Thank you, Layla. This was a good mistake. Her heart jumped. What? But he was already gone. The mistake didn't reveal itself until the next day. Farah stormed into Layla's apartment, waving her phone. Layla. You picked up the wrong CEO. What? Farah threw herself onto the couch. The real Mr. Rami Kadir landed 2 hours late. You picked up someone else. And get this, he's not even on our client list. Layla's heart stopped. Then who is he? Farah pulled up a Google search and turned the screen to her. Zain Shahid. CEO of Shahid Innovations. Tech billionaire. Private. Reclusive. Never gives interviews. Layla stared at the screen, her mouth open. She had picked up Zain Shahid by accident. And he had gone along with it. 2 days later, Layla found an envelope at the bookstore's counter addressed to her. Inside was a handwritten note. Dear Layla. Thank you for the most honest ride I've had in years. Meet me at Café Mirza, 7 p.m. Friday. Bring your favorite book. Z. Her hands trembled. She wasn't sure what this was, some weird flirtation, a game, or something more. But deep down, a small voice whispered, it was the beginning of her own love story. End of Chapter 1. Backhand index pointing right. Don't go anywhere. Chapter 2 reveals the shocking twist that brings Layla and Zayn even closer, or could tear them apart. Like this video if you're enjoying the ride, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss these emotional stories that stay with you long after the screen fades to black. Broken Heart Sparkles. If you're still here, that means your heart's already tied to this story, just like Layla's was, whether she realized it or not. Stay with us until the end, because the twist that's coming will make you believe in fate. And if this story has moved you even a little, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep telling stories that mean something. Layla stared at her reflection for the 10th time in the bookstore bathroom mirror. Her hair was loose, curled at the ends. She'd swapped her bookstore cardigan for a soft lilac dress she hadn't worn in over a year. Her hands were cold from nerves, her stomach twisted in knots. What if he'd been joking? What if this was just a CEO's board game, and she was a fool for showing up? But she went anyway. The sun dipped low when she stepped into Café Mirza, an old-world coffee shop with dim lighting, jazz playing softly, and the warm scent of cardamom and roasted beans in the air. And there he was. Zayn was already at a corner table, wearing a casual black button-up, no sunglasses, no armor. Just him. He stood when he saw her. You came. I brought my favorite book, she said, raising the tattered copy of Persuasion by Jane Austen. He smiled. Of course you'd pick a second-chance love story. I could say the same about you. They sat. Ordered tea. And for a long time, didn't talk about the obvious. They spoke about stories again, and the quiet lives of ordinary people. Then finally, she asked it. Why didn't you say anything? When you saw the sign. He took a breath, folding his hands. Because I didn't want to go where I was supposed to. She tilted her head. And where was that? To meet with my father. To sign away the last piece of our company's creative rights. The board is selling it off. Layla's brows drew together. Why would you agree? I didn't. I walked away. And then I saw you. His voice lowered. You looked real. Like someone who still believes in things. I hadn't seen that in a long time. Layla felt her heart skip. This wasn't just small talk. He was opening a window, just enough for her to peek through. You were the first surprise I've had in years, he said. And the first person who didn't treat me like a transaction. She looked down, her voice soft. I wasn't trying to impress you. I thought you were someone else. He leaned in. That's exactly why you impressed me. Their tea went cold. The night deepened. And still, neither of them wanted to leave. The next few days unfolded like pages from the kind of novel Layla thought only existed in fiction. Zayn kept visiting the bookstore. Sometimes he'd bring coffee. Sometimes just himself. He never said much at first, just browsed, sometimes sat in the corner and read. But his presence filled the room like sunlight. They took walks through old markets. Had late-night calls. Shared playlists and secrets. Layla found herself laughing more. Sleeping better. Dreaming again. And just when it all started to feel too perfect, it happened. It was a rainy Tuesday when Farah rushed into the bookstore, soaking wet and pale as paper. Layla. You need to see this. She shoved her phone into Layla's hands. A business news headline blared. Zayn Shahid's disappearance delays billion-dollar acquisition deal. Below was a photo of Zayn, hands in pockets, standing with a suited man outside Rivera Tower. Layla's chest tightened. He's supposed to be in Dubai, Farah whispered. Meeting with international investors. They're calling him reckless, irresponsible. And he's been here, Layla said slowly, her voice barely a whisper. The weight of it all hit her. Zayn had walked away from a billion-dollar empire. For her. Or had she just been a distraction? Her phone buzzed. Zayn, can you come over? Need to tell you something. Please. He met her at the door of the penthouse, dressed simply in a sweatshirt and jeans. There was something stormy in his eyes. I saw the headlines, she said before he could speak. He nodded. I was going to tell you today. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I didn't want to scare you away. She folded her arms, her voice shaking. What exactly am I to you, Zayn? An escape? A rebellion against your world? His jaw clenched. No. You're the only real thing I've had in years. But you lied. I didn't lie. I just let the mistake happen. Because I wanted to know what it felt like to be seen without the title. Layla looked away, tears blurring her vision. And what happens now? When you go back to your empire? I don't know, he said quietly. But I want to figure it out with you. She didn't answer right away. She walked out. Because even love, especially love, deserved time to breathe. For 3 days, she stayed quiet. Worked. Slept restlessly. Her heart warred with itself. Then, on the 4th morning, she found another envelope at her door. Inside was a plane ticket. Destination, the coast. Return, open. A note attached. Not asking you to give up your life. Just asking you to be part of mine. One honest step at a time. I'll be waiting at the terminal where we first met. Z. Layla stood once more at the airport, her heart pounding. The same arrival gate. The same buzz of life around her. And there he was. Not in a suit. No sunglasses. Just Zayn. She didn't wait for words. She walked straight into his arms. I still don't know what the future looks like, she whispered against his chest. Neither do I, he said. But I know who I want standing next to me. She smiled. Plot twist. He kissed her forehead. Happily ever after. Red heart, if this story touched your heart, show us some love. Hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful, emotional stories just like this one. Every click helps us share love, hope, and second chances with the world. Tell us in the comments, would you have said yes to Zayn? Red heart. If you've come this far, your heart's already invested in Layla and Zayn, and you deserve to know how their journey truly unfolds. This chapter isn't just about romance, it's about trust, growth, and what happens after the fairy tale moment. So stay with us, and if you haven't yet, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep sharing emotional stories that linger in the heart long after they end. The sound of ocean waves was nothing like the city. It was deeper. Wiser. It reminded Layla of the space between words in a love letter, where meaning lived in silence. She and Zayn sat barefoot on the sand, watching the sky melt into orange and rose. It had been 2 weeks since she left her old life behind. Not forever, just long enough to find out if what they had was real. Zayn had taken a leave from everything. No phones. No business meetings. Just them, on a quiet stretch of coast in a rented cottage with peeling paint and a heart-shaped key. I keep thinking I'll wake up, Layla said softly, knees pulled to her chest. Zayn looked over. From what? This. Us. It feels like a borrowed dream. He picked up a small shell and turned it in his hand. You ever think maybe borrowed dreams are just pieces of your future visiting early? She smiled. That sounds like something out of a romance novel. I've been reading a lot more of those lately. They laughed. The kind of laugh that came from the belly, healing old wounds one breath at a time. But peace, like waves, always ebbed and flowed. On the 15th day, a knock came on the cottage door. Zayn opened it and froze. A tall man in a navy suit stood there, holding a tablet. Sir. The board needs your signature. They've waited as long as they could. Layla watched from the table, heart sinking. Zayn didn't say a word. He just stared at the screen. The men stepped in. We understand you needed time. But your silence is now being seen as negligence. Zayn looked at Layla. I promised her this time. Layla stood up. Zayn, it's okay. No, it's not, he said. Because I'm tired of choosing between the world and myself. The man's voice turned cold. Then you forfeit your shares. The company will no longer be in your control. A beat of silence. Zayn nodded. Let it go. They left that night. The car ride back to the city was quiet. Layla stared out the window, tears burning behind her eyes. She wasn't sure if what Zayn had done was brave or foolish. Only that it was final. At the penthouse, he walked her to the elevator. She turned to him. What happens now? I don't know, he said. But I want to build something new. From the ground up. With me. He took her hands. Only if you want to. No more illusions. Just life. In real time. 6 months later. Layla stood behind the register at a brand new bookstore cafe in the heart of the city. Prologue and coffee. The sign above the door still made her tear up. Because the place wasn't just a dream, it was theirs. Zayn wasn't a CEO anymore. He was a co-founder, a part-time barista, and her favorite book club partner. They didn't live in penthouses now. But they lived with windows wide open, laughter filling the air. People came not for profit, but for peace. And in the back of the store, next to the love section, a note was framed under glass. Thank you for picking me up that day by mistake. Turns out, you were the right kind of wrong I never knew I needed. Z. Speech balloon. If this story made you smile, cry, or believe in love again, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who still believes in the magic of mistakes that lead to miracles. Red Heart Book Sparkles. Before we begin, ask yourself this: what if the mistake you regret most ends up becoming the thing that saves you? If you've stayed with us through this story, we promise this final chapter will leave you smiling through tears. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional love stories just like this one. Let's finish Layla and Zayn's story, where every ending is really a beginning. It had been 1 year since the bookstore cafe opened its doors. Prologue and Coffee had become more than just a cozy corner in the city, it had become a sanctuary. People didn't just come for coffee or books. They came to feel something. And at the heart of it all was Layla, now glowing, confident, and deeply in love with the men she once picked up by accident. But Zayn, he was changing too. He no longer carried his phone like a weapon. He no longer spoke in corporate jargon or wore suits unless absolutely necessary. He was present. In every smile, every shared look, every book recommendation, he left sticky notes inside for strangers to find. Still, Layla noticed the restlessness in his eyes sometimes. One rainy morning, as she shelved a new order of poetry books, he walked up behind her and quietly asked, "Can I show you something?" He took her to the rooftop of their building. There, under a glass dome he had been secretly working on for months, stood a small writing studio. Wooden floors. A bookshelf filled only with blank journals. A vintage typewriter by the window. And a single white envelope resting in the middle of the desk. "For you," he said. Layla opened it. Inside were pages of handwritten letters. One for every day since the first time they met. Some were short: "I watched you read today. It was my favorite chapter." Some were long, full of thoughts, apologies, confessions, and dreams. But one line echoed in every one. "Thank you for choosing me, even by mistake." Tears welled in her eyes. "Zayn, this is yours," he finished softly. "Always has been." That night, they sat under string lights on the rooftop with a bottle of sparkling juice and a slice of chocolate cake from the cafe downstairs. "I've been offered something," Zayn said suddenly, tracing the rim of his glass. Layla tensed. "What kind of something?" "A new venture. Ethical tech. Small scale. Purpose-driven. It's across the ocean." "How long?" 6 months. The silence between them stretched. "You want to go," she said. "I do. But only if." She looked up. If you'll come with me." Layla's heart jumped. You'd really want me in that world? He smiled. You've always been my world. 3 weeks later, the cafe had a new manager. Layla and Zayn boarded a plane, not as strangers, not as runaway lovers, but as two people who had built something real, and were ready to grow it further. They arrived in a quiet coastal town where time moved slower, and life felt fuller. Zayn worked on his new venture. Layla opened a second, Prologue and Coffee, inside a former lighthouse, where stories lit up the darkness. And every evening, as the sun dipped behind the sea, Zayn would hand her a new letter. Not because he had to, but because love, to him, was always worth writing down. One day, years later, a young woman came into the lighthouse cafe with a tear-stained face and a broken heart. Layla smiled, handed her a warm drink, and said, "Want to hear a story about how a simple airport mistake changed everything?" Speech balloon. If this story made you believe in love again, leave a red heart in the comments. Tap like if Layla and Zayn's journey touched you. And subscribe so you never miss the stories that heal, uplift, and remind us that mistakes can be miracles in disguise. Hot beverage. Open book sparkles.